we're back to haunt your nightmares. Welcome to another action-packed edition of The End of the Night. I'm your host, David Lee Madison, and right here next to me is my pal, my co-host, my producer, my everything, Mr. Joe Ridgely. Joe, how are you, my friend?
Excellent, thank you. Looking very forward to tonight's episode.
Yeah, no, tonight's going to be a wonderful episode because, in all honesty, I got to watch, I know a bunch of our dear friends, Ernie O'Donnell and Brian O'Halloran, and even our lovely co-host, Grunkle Scott Schiavo, are all involved with this new sitcom called On Our Own, which is just, I got to see it just recently, and Joe, it's fantastic. It's very, very, very funny. It has kind of the sensibilities of the great 80s sitcoms. It kind of has a touch of, I don't know, maybe Married with Children humor. But it's, I find it to be a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit more layered. It's really just a well-written, a well-performed. It was a very, very funny show. And in a few minutes, Troy Burbank and Ernie O'Donnell, the stars of the show and the creators of the show, will be joining us, and maybe some surprise guests. Grunkle Scott, a show regular who's in On Our Own, will pop on too because he's the best. I just love the piano in the intro. What's up? Hello, Mr. Ridgely. No, not Mr. Ridgely. Robles, how are you, my friend? You're Mr. Ridgely. You have to forgive me because I'm getting old and senile. Hello, Ken. I want to say hello. Another thing I want to bring up. First, tell everybody about your wife and daughter's wonderful business venture that they got going on because I'm a big fan of that product.
I would love to. Thank you. That would be Hearts of the Mystic folks. Check out their line of awesome all-natural scented wax melts, wickless candles, and room sprays in a variety of fun and seasonal scents. Man, they are just knocking it out of the park with this. I may be able to retire soon.
That's wonderful. And we have two actually wonderful guests on tonight, and a beautiful young lady who's a wonderful musician and just a wonderful performer. And I'm going to screw up her name, even though did you hear what she said? Was it Ronit?
I did not. I was trying to download pictures at the time.
I was calling her Ronit like an idiot because I say everything phonetically, but I'm sure it's Ronit, and her band is Ronit and the Invisible Strings, and they have a new album came out called The Invisible Strings, and I am just enamored with it. It's just a great record, and they're going to come on a little later to talk about their new record. So I'm super excited about that. I purchased On Our Own. It's pretty damn funny how they make fun of life as we live. Yeah, oh no, those guys did a really good job, and it's a really, really funny show.
And Matt,
Mr. Staley, how are you? Matt Staley, a wonderful filmmaker with his beautiful wife Libby McDermott. I don't know if you know this, Joe, but I think you do. About 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, I went down to the Pennsylvania-Maryland border. And I got to shoot some wonderful, wonderful footage for my new film, Full Moon Fever, with Matt Staley and Libby McDermott, and great friend of the show, Mr. Jim Crut. So that was wonderful. I was just thinking, the friends of this show really are taking Hollywood by storm. I mean, Grunkle Scott and Brian and Ernie and all those guys have Clerks 3 coming out soon. It's going to be one of the most, the biggest and most highly anticipated film of the fall. our dear friend and multiple time guest Daniel Roebuck is playing Grandpa in the Munsters. Man, I mean, how cool is that?
And again, I think we had the first grandpa voice that he did on.
Yes,
line.
he was still literally just at the beginning stages of filming that film when he did that for us. So that was pretty funny. So Dan has the Munsters coming out. So that's extraordinarily exciting. Our dear friend Bill Sadler, who's been on the show multiple times now, told the legendary story about how he shit on himself in Broadway, which is just absolutely amazing guy, and just a Hollywood icon. Has the new Salem's Lot coming out.
They bumped that to next year.
Oh, did they? I thought they had it for October.
Yeah, they bumped it.
I didn't know that. And you know what? Even though it makes me want to throw up a little bit in my own mouth, my arch nemesis, the evil, underhanded, rotten Tiffany Shepis, who will probably be on my birthday show next Sunday. By the way, everybody, next Sunday is, of course, every year we have the enormous birthday show, star-studded jubilation of people saying crappy shit to me. So next Sunday at 10 o'clock, join in to see a whole bunch of people make fun of me, which is pretty much what they do in real life. But with that being said, Tiffany Shepis, and I can't break this news, but if you kind of watch on her social media and stuff, you'll see that she's been releasing cryptic pictures about an enormous project that she is involved in. And when I say enormous, it's like life-altering. So even though she's my arch nemesis, I'm very proud of her, because this is something that is really going to change her life, because it is, when I say big, there's one or two properties that may be bigger than the property that she is now a part of. And I can't. She promised that she's actually going to break the news on this very show. So when she's able to announce the enormous project that she is now a major part of, I'll be happy to have her come on and say.
Wait a minute, bigger than Trauma?
Just maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit. So that's all super exciting. I wanted to ask you something. Is Grunkle Scott ready to come on a bit early? Because I literally recently bought some cool things that I want to show you guys that I think even Grunkle Scott will find cool, and he might have some input on it. So is Grunkle Scott ready to come on, or is it too early for Grunkle Scott?
He is looking like he's ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my partner in crime. This show honestly doesn't happen if the three morons who are on the screen momentarily are not together, all trying to make some kind of little Sunday night magic. Grunkle Scott Schiavo.
Sorry, I was trying not to be part of the three morons.
No. Well, we know you're part of the three morons. Mr. Scott, how are you, my friend?
Doing good, brothers. How are you? Hey, Ken.
Yeah, I will talk to you about, all the things going on in your life momentarily. But you know how sometimes we talk about like cool antiquities and comic books and toys.
Yeah, we talked about your birthday.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind of you to bring it up. I don't like you, you rat bastard. We talk about all that cool stuff, but this I think is pretty epic, because this is like a museum quality piece. And it's going to maybe blow Scott's mind. I recently, literally 3 days ago at auction, bought the very, very first record that was ever made. And it just says Edison on it. And it is the very, very first cylinder record ever made. And it's a recording, it's 126 years old. And it's a recording of the Ave Maria. Now, back then, they used to play something called cylinder records, where they would put this cylinder on a crank, and people would crank it, and the needle would hit the side, and they would play cylinder records. So this right here, ladies and gentlemen, think of all the records you bought in your life. You bought that, of course, you bought Huey Lewis and the News' sports album, and you bought, some of you probably, like Scott, bought the Backstreet Boys' album. This is literally the very, very first album ever recorded.
It's really cool. We just sold one of those before we moved into this house, the actual player.
Really?
Oh, you had a crank?
We had a
Now,
couple
just
of them.
to give you an idea that how rare just this case is, when Edison actually started to release music to the public. Okay, he would release it in something called Blue Amberol Records, and they came in a box like this. And there was a little picture of Edison on the side. This is actually 119 years old, and this is more of what if you bought a mainstream record. I mean, as mainstream as Cylinder Records got, of what a record would look like. This is before he actually started selling them to the public. This is an Edison recording, the very, very first one ever. So I think that's pretty epic of anything that was musical. The very first recordings was Edison reciting Mary Had a Little Lamb. And the very first recording of anything musical was this. It was a Jersey orchestra, and it was the Ave Maria, of course, a very popular tune that we hear at Christmas times. I had to do a report on cylinder record colleges. I wanted to make a Walkman version for those records. Oh, that's kind of cool. Now, also, another thing that I got the same day from auction is now, everybody knows Columbia Records. They're one of the biggest record studios of all time. This, my friends, is the very, very first record that Columbia Records ever released. It's another orchestral piece, but it's just so unbelievable that Columbia Records that we all know and love, the very first thing they released is one of these old cylinder records. And this one is, I think, 1901, so that would be 121 years old.
Yeah, I think I still owe Columbia House like $1,300 for that 99-cent CD I got like in the 90s.
So I thought maybe with Scott's background in music and us having a cool band tonight, Roni and the Invisible Strings on tonight, I would just tap back into our past and just how amazing and how far we've come. In 120 years sounds like a long time, but in all honesty, it's really not. It's literally not even 2 lifetimes. So we went from hand crank sounds on cylinder records to literally little tiny iPods and Walkman, whatever the hell I call them today, that can hold 15,000 songs on them. It's really just pretty amazing. But that's just me. What the hell do I know? Anything you want to add, Mr. Schiavo, or are you just going to look at me like I'm a moron?
No, that's mind-blowing, man. That's awesome stuff, man. Really, I just I've actually never had the opportunity to hear or see one played in person. Joe, you say you had a player?
Yes, we had one of those, and then we had the I forget what it's called now, the one with the big bell on it, or the horn.
Like
for the very
like
first records.
Like a 78?
It was an RCA Victrola.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, we had a few of those. That my wife does that antiquing stuff, and then she resells sometimes.
A Victrola. Okay, sweet. Yeah, no, those. And another thing I want to mention before our wonderful guest came on.
I think we may have to speed this up a bit.
Okay. Sally Kirkland was wonderful last week. Without any further ado, let's bring on the stars of the wonderful show On Our Own, Mr. Troy Burbank, Mr. Ernie O'Donnell. They're also the creators. And Joe, is there anybody else who might be popping on?
Momentarily.
Yes. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
What's up?
The boys. Troy's muted.
Yeah, Troy has to take himself off of mute. Ernie, so
Yes, sir.
I
What's up, buddy?
watched On Our Own, and I want to give you total and complete kudos. It is hysterically funny. It is well written. It is well paced. You have to give me a little bit of the genesis of how this all came together because, dude, it's a funny show.
Well, all props go to Mr. Troy Burbank. I'll say that.
Troy, unplug. Sorry.
I could. Was he still on mute?
Yeah, I think he's on mute.
Oh, he has no clue. See, this is what happens when old people try to do computer stuff.
Oh,
Unplug your earbuds, buddy.
so the earbuds just automatically mute the mic input, I guess. You
That
should be able to just click that. Can he hear us, you think?
he can hear us. I got somebody else who may want to make fun of him a little for not
Oh,
being
boy.
able to do it.
Zing!
No! It looks like literally Mr. Brian O'Halloran might be calling from the holodeck of the Starship Enterprise. I'm not sure. It kind of looks
I
like
was
that.
going to say the
I'm
Millennium
coming
Falcon.
from the inner sanctum of Doctor Strange's.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, I thought this
Yes.
was kind of cool. Actually, it's the ceiling in the area of the airport.
Oh, okay. Now that it kind
It's
of.
kind of when I looked at it, I was like, that totally looks like Doctor Strange. So I was just pointing it up just to start the introduction. Hello, gentlemen.
What's up,
It's
Brian?
a long time since I've been on the show. Good to be back on, even if it's briefly from the wonderful San Diego airport.
And
right
congratulations on all the wonderful things that you were doing out at San Diego Comic-Con. All of the people who know me who were out there were saying how kind and wonderful you were. You denied knowing me to all of them, which is pretty much par for the course. But that's wonderful. I wanted to say, Brian.
Just in all honesty, I didn't deny knowing you. I said to that person, I'm so sorry for you that they knew you.
All kidding aside, Brian, I wanted to tell you I got to watch the sitcom. Is it calling a sitcom fair?
What?
Would you calling it a sitcom a fair thing to call the show?
Are we talking about On Our Own?
On our yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's unfair. It's actually the hilarious sitcom On Our Own.
Uh,
There
Because
you
if you're going
go.
to say it, you got to say it right.
I got
There you go.
all kidding aside, I thought it was absolutely hysterical. I thought the writing was fantastic. I thought the performances were great. Brian, your Irish brogue, and
Spoiler
and-
alert.
It's in the trailer, dude.
I know. I'm just for those who haven't seen it.
It is just unbelievably. You guys did such a wonderful job, and you know what's really funny about it is that sometimes these type of shows transcend. You could tell that the people who are doing these shows are having fun with each other and enjoy each other's company, and that always makes shows that much better. And I think that's kind of the vibe you get when you're watching this show. Now Brian's on mute. Nothing but top-notch professionals work on our own, apparently.
Except me, Ernie, the producer himself, is all good. You fucking homos, look at you.
The technical team is on cue, my friend.
No. What I was
love it.
muting the, keeping a lookout for unattended bags kind of thing.
Oh.
So it's like, you don't need to hear the giant voice from God warning you
Oh.
about baggage and stuff while we're here. So
That's all
I
right.
muted when I'm not talking. I'm going to mute.
Sweet.
So
So,
I was going to say, Dave, since we only have Brian for a few nice fisheye, Brian, that we only have him for a few minutes. I'd like to get his feedback of what he thought of his experience on Our Own and playing the owner of the bar. Did you hear that, Brian?
Just so you know, I can barely hear Ernie. So if you said something complimentary, thank you. If you said something snide and snarky, well, that's typical.
no. He asked you what your thoughts of working on our own were. How did you feel about working on this project? Is
Oh,
what he was
well,
asking you.
First of all, it's always great working with Ernie and Troy and some of the people who I've worked with in the theater, industry down there in Central Jersey. So it was the same feel of independent film, but we're doing episodic work. And what was great was the freedom for collaboration, the freedom to run with something if you felt like you wanted to punch it up or if you wanted to do something different. Troy was an excellent, and flexible with, we all wanted whatever we could do, let's do it. And then we brought in some really incredible guest stars to come in, like Scott himself was involved in an episode, and some really Keith Coogan and Angel Salazar, and the names go on. And it's going to be fun for the audience to see all these cameos that we asked to be a part of the show. But I was very, I was great to have the freedom to play with this. You guys know when we've hung out and I break out into the Irish accent and it gets kind of funny. It's 90% based on my mother, the accent part of it. The attitude, not so much. The attitude is what I bring to it.
Right.
I was really cool that Ernie's like, listen, I want you to be a part of this thing. And you know that Irish voice, that Irish brogue you always like to do. Like, we want that to be a part of it. So that's why I really enjoyed having it. And so having that independent flexibility to be in this collaboration was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to collaborate with Ernie and Troy. I didn't get to be a part of Scott's episode, unfortunately, but I hear that's one of the most hilarious episodes anyway. And it moves the storyline of the main characters along from it. And we hope the audience likes it. I know that. And I hope that we can do a season 2. But it's all about, viewership. If y'all enjoy it and you want more of it, we're ready to go with more scripts. I know the crew is ready to go. And that was the thing. Like, they're producing on a very, very tight budget. And we have some people pulling triple jobs, like cameraman, cinematographer, lighting guy, and editor all in one. And big shout out to him because he did a phenomenal job under the time constraints that we had and people's lives and schedules. A lot of people who are a part of this, we have all real gigs every day that we have to pull away from and ask for favors and take certain weekends off just to do these things. And it was really great that people came together to put out this hilarious couple of episodes.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely stunningly funny. And it was, you are actually in Scott's episode. At the end, it was a part of the character that literally hit home with me because you were losing your money on the Mets and the Jets, which is not too unnatural for actually Brian O'Halloran. And in fact, I want to make Ernie O'Donnell a bet right here on this show because I love taking his money all the time. And you have an unbelievable advantage at this point of me making this bet. But I will bet you that the Mets have a better record at the end of the season than the Yankees do. And I'm giving you like 7 games right now.
There's
There's
no way in hell.
So what? Yeah, I've heard that before. Usually when you're paying me money.
Exactly. There's no way in hell.
But so when this is over, if you want to put a box of ziti on it, I will gladly do that. And by the way, my daughter Amanda thanks you for putting her through college. It's very kind of you. And
I bought those Edison fucking things. Like an asshole. That's what I did.
Thank you, Ernie O'Donnell. It says it on the bottom, actually.
Yes, exactly.
So when the show's over, if you want a piece of that action, I'll be more than happy to give you a chance to pay me lots of money again. But with that being said, Troy, I know that
audio now.
Yeah, Troy, tell us a little bit about what TV shows inspired you to do this show. What shows did you like growing up that kind of made this come together for you?
Well, I mean, I watched probably all the same shows that you guys did. My biggest show was Three's Company. That was one of my favorite shows of all time, and I kind of got that concept a little bit from there. But a lot of this stuff that is written is like real life stuff that I came across, or I know somebody that did this. So it's pretty much real life. I mean, stuff and some of the characters that are in the sitcom. It's unfortunately that's kind of what they went through, or maybe still going through. Who knows? I mean, it's funny.
And it's funny because you guys do a lot of gags where it's all about comedic timing, where there's just like the perfectly placed pause, and then something very, very subtle happens, but it's very funny, and that's a very, very difficult type of comedy to pull off. Scott, when you did your episode, it's such a it's a character that's so not you, and where did you kind of go to get to that place?
It's all on the page, man. Really, it's a very funny setup. It's kind of hard for that not to play out, and in fact, I usually underplay things, and I don't want to give anything away, but it's just, you don't say you're laugh at yourself, but the predicament that guy ends up in within a few moments is just nuts. And I think he's not really taking it in until it's too late. But it was all in the writing, really. I show up and I bring my A game, and everybody was wonderful that day. It was like 1,000,000,000 degrees, like it is now. It was like super hot, and it was just a lot of fun,
Now, how did you guys put such a wonderful ensemble together? When you were writing it to paper, when you were putting it on page, did you say, "Hey, this would be a wonderful role for Brian O'Halloran"? Did you say, "Hey, this would be great for Scott. This would be great for Keith Coogan"? Or were those all kind of happy coincidences after you had the stuff written down?
Troy.
Well, I mean, as far as the Brian O'Halloran was, that was Ernie's idea, and I had the character written for somebody else. I mean, I didn't know who was going to play the part. He's like, "Why don't we get Brian?" And I was like, "If you can get him, I doubt he'll do it, but whatever. If you can get him, that would be great."
Hey, Troy.
Let me try to work on it. Yes.
Just so you know, this is not the first time I've taken the role that was written for somebody else. Just so you know.
Oh, mic drop! Everybody go now.
It was just written, not for somebody else, but there was no way that I thought that you would do that part, to be honest with you. So, but he's like, maybe I'll let me talk to him, and maybe we'll throw the Irish. I said, listen, if you can get him, I said that would be fantastic, and the rest is history. You got you, but it's just it was luck getting you, to be honest with you. So I mean, we're happy Ernie knows you, and then that you like the the concept of the whole sitcom. So we're lucky that we got you for that part, to be honest with you. So thank you.
And how did Keith Coogan come aboard?
Well, it was funny. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I don't know how I become friends with him on Facebook, but I was telling Ernie, I was like, I'm gonna just inbox him and say, listen, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but would you be interested in doing, a small cameo in this little sitcom that we got going? And I just threw it out there to him, and he responded. He goes, "Yeah, give me a call." So I'm like, that was too easy. Give me a call, and I called him and we talked, and he's like, "Yeah, fly me out. You do this, and I'll definitely do it." So that was that easy to get him.
No. There seems to be a wonderful camaraderie amongst everybody on the show. How much of the show is, when you put it together, improvised? Is any of it improvised? Like, because you guys have a wonderful scene going, and just because the camera's rolling, you get a perfect little gem that kind of happens because of the magic of the two actors, or because of the quality of the writing. Does that happen frequently, where something just kind of falls into your lap that wasn't planned?
Well, I would say, Troy, yes, but that's all because
I was going to say, Ernie knows that through the whole sitcom, we come with everything prepared on the page, but then somebody says something, I'm like, you know what, let's do it that way, because I like that way it's coming out, and through the whole season, that's what we did. We kind of improvised on not all of it, because there was stuff, it was all written out, but stuff that we thought was funnier than what was on the page, we went with that. We went that direction, and the whole season we did that, and it worked out, pretty good.
No, that's awesome. I mean, there are little things like there was when you were going to pick up the chick in the hot car. I'm not going to give anything away, but you just did little subtle things, like you sniffed your armpits and you checked your breath, and that's actually kind of the signs of somebody who has a good screen presence, and it actually makes it more interesting for the viewer to watch. It's actually very funny. Mr. Ridgely, you look like you have something you wanted to say. You were just like...
I was actually texting somebody to try to get them on board, but...
Okay.
Producer.
So, what's next for On Our Own? Is there going to be a season 2?
Yeah, I definitely, I have ideas for season 2, to be honest with you. So we're just, as Brian said before, we're on a tight budget, and we're just trying to raise some money for season 2 because we pulled a lot of favors in for season 1. So we're hoping season 2 there's more money in the kitty, so we can, go a little bit further with it. So yeah, there's definitely gonna be season 2. Just don't know exactly when yet. We want to see how season 1 works out first. So
absolutely. Can I ask you a question? And if you're not comfortable answering these questions, please, I'll just move on to another one. But I'm curious about the distribution model. It looks like you have it on SVOD on Amazon right now, subscription model. Is there any chance that it's going to be on AVOD, which is probably the direction that I would have went if I was releasing the show, because it would have opened it up to a much larger audience and possibly made you guys a lot more capital. So is there going to be a chance of moving it to AVOD, like a Tubi or a Hulu or a Vudu, so that when it's played by everybody in their homes, you guys make money off of the commercial revenue? And it's extraordinarily easy to get a show like that on there. So I was just curious, is that going to be the next step after SVOD?
Yeah, that's in the works as we speak right now. As of right now, it's actually streaming over in Europe on Apple TV, Xbox. There's a few other ones. It's weird how the distributor, how it went that way first. I don't know how it did that, but that's what happened before it went over here. So it's streaming over there right now in these other countries. But it will be over here soon on Tubi and all the Plex and all that other ones, but probably within a month or two.
Yeah, as a friend of all you gentlemen, I can't tell you enough that how desperately you need to get it on Tubi and how desperately you needed to get it on Roku and all the AVOD platforms, because you guys will really kill on there, where people can watch it just like a regular sitcom with commercials, and every time they watch it, you guys make like $1.18 or $1.20 an episode, and you get hundreds of thousands of people watching it. It's just a wonderful model that you guys might do a lot better than SVOD. But that's just a lot of what we do on this show, Troy, is try to talk through with independent filmmakers and independent television shows, directions that might be advantageous to them. So please don't take that the wrong way. I'm just trying to help.
So then, out of curiosity, it's not exclusive on Amazon then? I thought maybe it was an Amazon exclusive.
No.
Yeah, because I know that almost all of my filmmaker friends that on the streaming model that exists right now, they seem to do the best on the AVOD platforms, because it's just available in more households, and there's no credit card or anything involved, and it's just literally just like sitting back and watching the program with commercials, and Tubi seems to be the place to go these days. So if you guys could get it on there, please do, and if you can't, just I might know somebody there who could help. But it's just a wonderful, wonderful platform.
Gentlemen, I'd love to debate and talk about and educate the audiences more about distribution and stuff like that. But I got a plane that I'm going to be boarding here in a few minutes, so I need to get ready for that. Gentlemen, I will see you in person in the near future. This coming weekend, myself, Marilyn Gigliotti, Jeff Anderson, Trevor Furman, Jay Muse, Kevin Smith will be at GalaxyCon Raleigh. That's a 4-day event. It's this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Come on out for that if you can. It's galaxycon.com. And you can check out Raleigh. They have a bunch of shows like Columbus and Raleigh and a few other cities, but this is the big one, the Raleigh one. Check out, if you haven't gotten your tickets for Clerks 3, Clerks, the number 3.movie. You can get all your information there. If you want to see us on tour, that'd be Clerks, the number 3, word tour.com. For more information, I know I'll be seeing Ernie in the very near future as well. Don't forget, they've now moved I forget what the actual title of the film festival is.
Smodcastle Film Festival?
The Smodcastle Film Festival. Pretty simple. All right. I'm glad we had a big meeting about that. Anyway, so I'll be a part of that at some point as well. I look forward to seeing all the entries that have been put in. As a matter of fact, some of them even came up to us in San Diego this weekend saying, hey, I've submitted. One of which I think was Maryland. So I think we have to judge things a little weirdly. But Troy, thank you so much for letting me be a part of On Your Own. Congratulations on the deal with Amazon, and look forward to seeing it on other outlets. And and I'm waiting for the season 2 to start rolling. Joe, thank you so much for having me on and sending me the links and making sure I got on okay.
Let me just
Scott?
mention one thing real fast,
Yeah.
if I may. CJ from our network is going to be at Red Bank for the actual premiere, and he said something about a birthday bash or something that he's going to also in New Jersey.
That's August 2nd. Kevin's
So he's
having a
going to
birthday
August,
bash
and then
today.
he's also
Yes.
going to the Red Bank premiere. So
Yeah.
You know what's funny? My birthday is August 2nd too, but we call it Passover around my house.
So CJ from our network will be out there. Take care of him.
I look forward to seeing you, CJ. Thank you for the support. And for those who were here at San Diego, especially the literally the thousands of people who were at the Hall C panel for Clerks, the emotion was flowing. It was such a great panel. We enjoyed the love and the excitement. And the crew of Lionsgate just have knocked it out of the box. They replicated the quick stop counter at the booth, and fans were able to take pictures with us in front of this. I mean, I was like, can I have this shipped to my house? This is awesome. I could take this on the road myself. It was really, really fun. This is going to be a weekend that we'll never forget. I hope to talk about it more, obviously, once the movie comes out in September. The Fathom events are September 13th and 15th. Go check those out. And also then the tour, as we said, will be from September pretty much till the end of December, folks. We'll be on the road. So we'll see you then. Thank you guys for having me. Talk to you soon, Dave. Scott, I love you, brother. We'll talk soon. Ernie, thanks again. Troy and Joe. Peace and love, everybody.
Bye.
Safe travels, brother.
Thanks for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brian O'Halloran, thank you for stopping in.
Star of On Our Own. Thank you very much.
No, I mean, Troy, so if you were going to tell anybody who's watching tonight, if you had to pitch them to watch On Our Own, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say if you're a fan of any really typical 80s style sitcom, this would be right up your alley, because there's, you know, we don't hold really anything back. You know what I mean? We kind of mock on people, but, you know, we rip on people. We say what's on our mind. So I would just say, watch it, because it would take you back to when you were, 18, 19, 20, saying what you really want to say to somebody. So that would be my pitch to the crowd, to the fans. Watch it, because you will definitely enjoy what you hear.
Absolutely. And Ernie, same question. What would you say to somebody who's sitting watching this show right now, debating, getting people to watch stuff is literally like pulling teeth, as we all know. Yeah. What would you tell them? I mean, I could tell them up and down, it's hysterically funny, it's well written, it's well paced, it's everything that you want in a funny sitcom. It's really just a good show. But, people will do what they want to do. So what would you say, Ernie?
Well, it does have that 80s flair to it, but it does have some modern implements into it, but it does embody the whole 80s, 90s, early 90s sitcoms. But it's not the typical cookie cutter sitcom that you're getting today. Today, everything is so saturated and overproduced and politically correct. And listen, I understand all that kind of stuff, but as entertainers and artists, comedians, we're supposed to have a voice and be able to say stuff and make people laugh and bring them out of their comfort zone a little bit, and to explore lots of different things in life. And it's real. That's the thing about the show. It's all based on real events. Troy has been able to capture that with his brilliant writing of the sitcoms, and just you'll sit back and you'll sit there and be like, oh shit, man, that happened to me, or I had something like that happen to me, and we make people feel uncomfortable in certain situations, which you should as a viewer feel a lot of different emotions when you're watching either comedy or drama or stuff like that. And Troy nailed it on the head. And I just want to say I'm just so proud of what he accomplished. And it thrills me that he brought me in to be a part of it. not just as a producer, but also as one of the stars of the show. And my hat goes off to all the other cast and crew, like Andrew Bain, who's just Andrew's just silly and crazy in that, and somewhat, and he'll probably laugh at this, but somewhat disgusting and revolting in certain things. But that's what he's awesome in it. He's, for somebody who's not, and this is no jab at Andrew, but a seasoned, well-known actor. He's an unknown actor, but he does one hell of a job of playing his character. And Billy Hartman is also incredible. Rob Ruffalo, and Derek.
Derek
You
Alberti.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, Derek, the guy who's the bartender, you just let him loose in the sitcom, and he does his thing.
It's a very, very, very funny show.
Yeah, I'm very happy about it. Yeah.
Now, people could download it on Amazon. They could get the complete first season on Amazon. Do you guys know how much it is to download the first season? I think it's like $6, maybe.
I think it's like $8 or something like
that. $8, okay.
$9.
Okay.
I think it's $8.99 or something like that.
Whatever, guys. It's well under. It's well under $10 to sit down and have laugh your ass off. It's just a wonderful show. You're also supporting local artists in New Jersey who have a wonderful. The show has a wonderful Jersey feel to it. It's just a wonderful, wonderful show. So everybody, please check out On Our Own on Amazon. Soon to be coming to other platforms, but check it out on Amazon now. It's a wonderful, wonderful show that's hysterically funny. It has all the elements of all the great sitcoms, and these gentlemen really, really hit it out of the ballpark. It's just a wonderful show. Go ahead, Joe.
CJ says, Troy writes about real-life situations that people just let fall to the side and makes it funny.
No, absolutely.
So my question is, does anybody drive like 85 or 86 Z28 and wear like a Italian horn? No, Z28s, no Italian horns.
We could make that happen, Joe, if you want to be in the next year's episode.
Done. Thanks for the kind words, Ernie. And
yes. If we get a like Troy was saying, if we get a little bit more in the kitty of the budget, we hope to have some more guest stars coming through.
And I can almost guarantee that will be the case once you get it on AVOD. It's a very wonderful, it's a wonderful platform for shows like that, especially when you have so many hours, because it's a series.
Right.
They can play so many commercials during that, so it would be a wonderful chance for you guys. Ernie, is there anything that people should be looking for you, and any appearances or anything you have coming up?
Let's see, appearances. Oof. I've been pretty knee deep in the Smodcastle Film Festival, as people have been noticed on social media. So we got so overwhelmed with submissions, and plus, the Clerks tour taking off and Kevin's promotion, we had to move the festival to November 30th to December 4th. But I will say that is keeping me pretty busy at the moment to do that. Plus our normal stuff we got going on at the Smodcastle. Normally our podcasts and our little nightly games that we play privately there. And then I'm stoked about Clerks 3 coming out. This was the first time I got into the fold and became associate producer on Clerks 3. So I thank Kevin for that. And my character, Rick Derris, makes a return. So that's nice. And then I'm also going to say that soon, I don't know when, but in the next coming months, my boy Troy and I collaborated. He wrote a wonderful dramatic script called Wasted Blind that we just wrapped. And we hope to get that moving out to the public sometime in the next few months. Something totally different than from On Our Own, and I think the audiences are going to be shocked and amazed at the ability that Troy has to move from one genre to the next. So I look forward to that.
I think I can't wait for Clerks 3 to come out. I think it's going to be an enormous hit. It looks wonderful. Everything about it just looks hysterical. the trailer that you guys released seems to be hitting on all cylinders. So congratulations! It really, really looks wonderful.
Yeah, they did a killer job on the trailer, man.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah.
Troy, same question.
Yeah.
Ernie just said you guys got a project coming up. Is there anything else that we could be looking for from you, or platforms you want to send people to?
Yeah, well, yeah, this the one we wrapped on end of May, May 21st, I believe it was. It's a drama that my wife and I we wrote together. This thing is really Ernie pulled off something. I knew he could do it, but it's fantastic. It's going to make people cry. It's totally different, like Ernie said, from On Our Own. It's just every time I watch it, it blows me out of the water how great Ernie did in this role. It's just phenomenal. You guys are going to love it, and hopefully, we're going to hit the film festival circuits with the next couple months, like Ernie said. But this is really good, and I'm excited. I'm excited for On Our Own coming out, but this one is like really potentially like a lot of awards in my eyes for Ernie winning some stuff because it's that good. He did a great job.
Well, gentlemen,
what is the name? Can we get the name again? The name is what?
Yeah, it's called Wasted Blind.
Okay.
Wasted Blind. I'll give you a little synopsis. It's about a recovering alcoholic that falls back off the wagon when his wife dies, and he just goes back to drinking hard. And he's got a son involved that he's not paying attention to, that needs his father's help going through this difficult time. He's not there for him, so that's kind of a little bit what it's about. So it's a really good drama.
We have one more quick question from Luciana. She says, what were Steve Buscemi and Kevin Smith in together, looking at the poster behind Ernie?
Oh, yes. We did a Friends of Firefighters benefit for which Steve Buscemi is part of. And that's based out in New York, and we raised. We did that at the Smod Castle. He came to the Smod Castle, and Kevin interviewed him for about 2 hours. We sold the seats out, and we also had like a live auction, online, and we raised about $42,000 for the firefighters, Friends of Firefighters.
That is terrific.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I'm super proud to know you guys. You did a wonderful, wonderful television show. Honestly, all kidding aside, I really, really enjoyed it. Everybody who watches this live and then watches it in the archive, check out On Our Own. These guys are hysterically funny. It's on Amazon. Check it out now. Ernie, my dear friend, thank you for joining us. I'll talk to you later about taking your money for being a Yankee fan. And Troy, it was an absolute honor and privilege to meet you. You did a wonderful television show. You should be very proud of yourself, and it was just a great show. And we will catch up with you guys shortly. Mr. Ernie O'Donnell, Mr. Troy Burbank. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right,
guys.
Thanks for having us on.
you.
Absolutely our pleasure.
Thanks, Joe. Take care.
See ya.
Wow, those guys are cool, man. The show is hysterical. And Scott, man, you hysterical in your episode, brother.
Well, thank you. It really was in the writing, in a sense. It just that whole scenario was just so. I had a hard time not laughing.
Yep. Now I want to ask you, Joe. We have another lovely guest on tonight, and I don't know if she's ready to come on because we're running a little bit late.
She is.
And
she's in the green room.
She's in the green room. I just found her music not too long ago. And I asked her to come on my show because she's just so enormously talented. And I really want everybody who watches us on all our platforms to give her music a chance because it's so layered. It's just it's well written stuff. It's so different than what they're pumping on the radios today. It's just really, really great stuff. She's super talented. And I promise I will not screw up your name. Ladies and gentlemen, Ronit. Ronit, welcome to the end of the night. Oop, you have your mic off, Ronit. Hello.
There you go. That goes with the organic vibe.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Bit of a Luddite over here. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely an honor to have you on. Now, this gentleman right there is Scott Schiavo, who are you a fan of the Clerks series or not, or is it something? Because I know you're from Melbourne.
Come on. I was born in the 80s and we got everything in Australia, just a little bit
Later?
bit delayed. But now with the internet, everything comes at the same time. But
I'm going to tell you a little story. Not only is Scott a big star in the Clerks universe and in the Kevin Smith universe, but in the filmmaking universe, Scott is also known because he's a wonderful musician and does a lot of scoring on movies and plays several instruments. And what's cool about every time I have a musician on, Scott gets excited. So, Scott.
Aww. Well, I'm excited. I can see your keyboard right there. So
Yeah, keys,
awesome.
guitars everywhere. I'm in my little man cave studio.
Oh, nice.
So
Got
tell
the
us a
man
little.
cave studio downstairs.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. We have this show caters to everybody who loves pop culture and entertainment and music and films. And before I let you start talking, I just wanted to say a few things about your record. It has such a wonderful vibe to it because there's so many things going on in it. And I love that there's one song that I just automatically gravitated to, Dark Light, because it has such wonderful lyrics. And it has also kind of layers of different music on it. But I hear throughout almost all of your songs on your album, a great 50s sensibility. Now, I might be the only person who hears that, but I think it's what separates you from almost everybody else who's playing music today, and that you can create such wonderful moods and sounds in your songs. And I'm sorry, I'm babbling like an idiot, but I'm actually
You're
very,
not
very...
babbling. You're saying all the right things. Can you see the record player behind me? Oh, it's packed up a little bit. All these records down here.
Okay.
My husband and I recorded the album together, and honestly, if he heard you say that, that would just bring music to his ears. Because, essentially, he just loves all old 50s, 60s, 70s, less of the 70s, more of the 50s and 60s, but old soul. And he definitely brought his flavor to the songs, and so did the musicians that played. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings and Charles Bradley, Lee Fields. All unfortunately, Sharon and Charles, you in heaven or wherever, have passed away. But a lot of the musicians that play with those guys, they're on the album, and it's awesome old 60s blues soul vibe. And they brought their flavor to my songwriter land. So if you hear that flavor on there.
No. It's just it's what J.W. Caldwell, who's a wonderful personality on TV and local TV on NBC where I live. He said vinyl has a 50s and 60s vibe, go a long way. And J.W., you need to buy this record because I tell you. If you don't like the record, I'll reimburse you what it costs because that's how good it is. It's just a wonderful, wonderful record, and it had and you know it's funny, and please don't take this the wrong way. I'm mostly known to my audience as a horror filmmaker, even though I've made films that are not horror films.
Awesome.
And some of the greatest horror films incorporated 50s music in them. And
oh my gosh, yeah.
And I don't know why that works, but for some reason the sounds of kind of 50 and all that stuff works. So if we could talk after the show, I would love to have Dark Light in my new werewolf film.
So let me ask you then: would
Sure.
you put Death Proof in a horror field? You know the movie Death Proof?
Yeah, well, the Tarantino film, right?
No, because the other day we played the album launch, and the guys in the band, kind of like an ode to my husband, so that he could get his 50s, 60s vibe out. He's like, could we do the cover by the Coasters that's in Death Proof? Like, yeah, that's an awesome scene. That's a really cool lap dance scene with Kurt Russell. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Rosario Dawson.
That song. oh my gosh, it's such a cool scene and such a cool song. And I get that. Well, it's not really. Is it? I'm not as much of a movie person as obviously all of you are. Would you put that in the horror? In the horror?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a horror sci-fi. No, it's not really sci-fi. It's close to horror. As close to Tarantino gets.
Yeah.
We're talking about Death Proof, the one with
Kurt Russell, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
The one where they.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's actually that was a play on. What are those movies that from the '60s and '70s, Scott, that were really, really inexpensive but loved?
Because Rodriguez did the B movie to them.
Right.
Yeah,
The one where the woman had the machine gun in her leg, I think.
Yes.
Grindhouse films. Thank you.
Grindhouse, that's it. I was trying. Yeah, that's right.
Haven for Heroes. Emmett, when you get a chance, I was actually in your wonderful store today, Haven for Heroes in Port Jervis, New York. If you get a chance, buy this young lady's record because it really is smoking. I wanted to ask you, I also really, really liked, and it also had a wonderful, wonderful 50 sound, was your song Heart Like Yours. Is there any song... I hear so many different songs in that song. Was there any one kind of song that inspired you for that particular track?
No, it's really another song that I wrote. I wrote probably about 4 years ago, I think, hanging out with my now 10-year-old. And so I actually have this, home style recording of the two of us singing it together. And, but it's another one that I wrote, and then my husband and his friends, we essentially recorded the album during the pandemic when, we had our hub of friends coming over and they put their flavor to it. That's why it's not Ronit, the album. It's really Ronit and the Invisible Strings because, they really are such a big part of it. So yes, I wrote the song, but they put so much in there that gave it all that flavor. And as for,
Can you tell us a little bit about your background? Were you formally trained as a musician, or is it something that you just kind of picked up?
It's a passion, and formally trained. If you call getting a recorder when I was 7 years old formally trained, then yes, I'm extremely formally trained. But no, I played recorder for a few years, so I learnt the basics. I think I could still play Fairlease on the recorder. No, when I was 14 and my friends as well, they got guitars and they got some guitar lessons and my folks, even though they're so supportive of me and my art and everything right now, they're like, no, you need to concentrate on your schoolwork. So I got a guitar from a family friend and I would hang out with my school friends that were learning guitar. So I'd be like, so what are you learning? Can you show me? And then I got myself a book and I learned from the book and, one thing leads to the next and you're writing songs, you're jamming. I used to busk on the street and met so many people. It was a really cool vibe. And I just kept on writing and writing.
Sweet. Now, do you have any live performances where people could come out and see you coming up anytime soon?
We just had our album launch Sunday, yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
which was awesome. And I really, I got to get all active and put some of the videos up that people recorded and get into the social media vibe. But for the next shows, no, we're working on it. We're going to, plug our music, hopefully get a booking agent, I'm still, even though I've been living in the US now for 10 years, it's, it's still all fresh and new to me. I'm my feet are a little bit more planted music-wise in Australia, but I'll figure things out.
Well, I'm not sure if you're booked in New York City by any chance. My dear friend Chris Willard lives in New York City. He went to LaSalle Academy with me, and he's a booking agent for all the gigs, all the hot clubs in New York City. So if you want, we could reach out to him and get, because your album should be heard by as many people as possible. It's just a great record.
Thank you.
Is the outfit and the folks on the record, are they going to go on the road with you? Is that band? Is the people on the record? Are they going to go?
Yeah, they're so eager. After yesterday, they're like, "So what's happening next?" I'm like, "Oh, see, I mean, I don't mean to bring up the whole kids thing, but I've got 3 of them, and pretty much life revolves around them." That's why, like, we did the gig last night, which was so much fun. And then this morning, it's like, "So what are we doing today, Mommy? What are we doing today? Are we going to go to our friend's school?" "Oh, yeah, can we?" I'm like, "Oh, okay. No, I'm not hungry. No, I feel great. Yeah, all right. Okay, I'll cut the melon. Yeah, let's get." So now I get to concentrate on a few things, and it's so nice talking to you guys.
No, I just see that, like, you guys, the record is just, it's so inspiring. I'm a big fan of Nick Lowe. I'm dear friends with Huey Lewis, and I have a foundation of kind of 50s rock and roll. I think is kind of a fair assessment, and your record molds 50s music with contemporary sounds. And there's even, I can't place it, but it kind of sounds like, is Indian music a fair assessment? There's,
I guess you're on a cool track there. Apparently, Ronit is an Indian guy's name. It's a very popular Israeli girl's name.
Okay.
But there are a couple of songs in Hebrew on the album, and there are a lot of my music. I'm Israeli Australian. I grew up speaking Hebrew in Australia because my parents are Israeli, and so that was a strong flavor on the album. And just in my songs as well, I just make my way to those Middle Eastern minor scales by default. We called it the other day in our rehearsal. The guys are like, I think this is heebie-jeebie music, like Hebrew blues. So that's our genre, heebie-jeebie.
Because even the songs that were in Hebrew, I really enjoyed. I mean, and I didn't understand a word you were saying, but it was so melodic and so just a fantastic album. Where can people? Oh, sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just echo that and say that there's a myriad of influences, but I think one of the for me, it was very refreshing to hear something. I hate to use the word organic because it gets used a lot, but where you hear the warmth of real musicians playing together, and it's not a marriage of loops and things of that nature. It's amazing when you could hear something that's brand new to you and sounds fresh, yet sounds like it's been there all along. And that's the kind of effect I got when I got to hear some of the tracks earlier today.
I love it. I love your feedback. Thank you.
And what was wonderful, Ronit sent me, because I know that when I gave you the code, you had trouble getting it. She sent me another code for you to download the record, Scott. I really want you to listen to 3 songs in particular, because they're my favorites. I want you to listen to the whole album. It's absolutely fantastic, all kidding aside. But I would love to hear what you think of Southern Stars, Dark Light, and Heart Like Yours, which are 3 of my favorite songs on there. And when you're done listening to them, I'd love for you to call me and let me know what you think of them, because it's really, really, there's something special about those 3 songs. They pack a punch that contemporary music really hasn't in a while. Where, Ronnie, can people find the record?
Okay, so I did upload it to Bandcamp. I got some advice yesterday to go on, what did he say? So as I said, we admittedly Luddite over here. But what's it? DistroKid. Does that sound familiar? I'm going to be uploading onto DistroKid. But if people would like to get the album, it is right there on Bandcamp. And so if you go to Renit and the Invisible Strings, you will find us.
Scott, what was the one that we put the Wandering Wannabes on? We did what unbelievable traction. Maybe we could point her in that direction. Was it
CD Baby? Was it CD Baby?
Oh yeah, have you looked into CD Baby?
CD Baby. Yep, I'm going to write that down. I definitely have heard of CD Baby.
CD Baby's really cool because they will put it on iTunes and they'll have it on all the top streaming places right after you send it to them, and you'll literally be available probably in like every household once you get it on CD Baby. And it was really cool. We put an album called The Wandering Wannabes. We did a silly little Christmas record, and we gave it to CD Baby, and I was walking around the mall in Christmas time, and they were piping in Christmas music, and all of a sudden The Wandering Wannabes came on, our record, and I was like, how the hell did the mall get our Christmas record? So CD Baby does a lot in getting music out to the masses. So it's definitely something you should look into, because it's really a fantastic record. And the amount of work that you guys put into this is very, very evident as far as how it was mastered and how it was recorded and how crisp it sounds. And it's just really just a fantastic record. One more question I'm going to ask, because it's getting late, and I didn't want to keep you on too long. Tell me a little bit about who inspired you growing up. Who are the musicians that were on your turntable growing up?
Well, I mean, the Beach Boys were my first concert. I remember sitting on my dad's shoulders and
Mine too.
Almost in a pit. That was your first concert as well, Beach Boys?
Well, Beach Boys in
We also
Chicago.
on your dad's concert. Oh,
And who?
cool. Yeah.
Beach Boys and who?
Beach Boys in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
They played together when Kokomo came out, and Chicago had a recent greatest hits.
Oh, yeah, that's when John Stamos was
I was
playing
going
drums.
to say he was on tour.
Peter Santero was no longer the lead singer for Chicago.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Scott,
John
what was your-
Stamos was on drums.
Scott, what was your first concert?
David Cassidy.
David Cassidy? Wow.
You
You
know,
want to know who?
that was Jewel, my beloved partner, was actually at that show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we didn't know each other then, but that was both our first concerts, and that was fun.
My first two concerts are actually absolutely bizarre for somebody who's my age, because the very, very first show I saw was a very famous show. My very first show I saw was Bing Crosby. And Bing Crosby at Radio City Music Hall was performing, and he was like in his fourth song in, and I remember this just like yesterday. I was in the upper bowl of the Radio City Music Hall watching Bing sing, and Bing took 2 steps backwards and fell into the orchestra pit and stopped the show. And Bing passed away 2 weeks later. After he went to record in France and play golf, and he passed away. And then the second show my mom and dad brought me to was Elvis at Madison Square Garden. And after Elvis played, he died a couple weeks later in 1977.
Wait a second, what's going?
So I was like,
any of my shows.
I was like, I'm not going to any more concerts, especially of people I like. But it's funny
am
because
I not doing the calculations right though? So you went to an Elvis show.
I did.
When did he pass away? Because you do not.
1977.
Okay. All right. Okay. Jeez.
And Bing died the same.
I was in high
You know,
school
my
then,
mom
right?
says that everything happens in threes. So who was the third one that this happened to?
No, the next group of people I saw in concert are alive and kicking and
Okay, thank goodness.
and actually became friends of mine, which is kind of cool.
I have a couple of really quick questions.
Absolutely.
Did you press vinyl? Do you have a vinyl thing happening? Are you making vinyl?
We actually are. Yeah, my mother-in-law, beautiful mother-in-law, Odette. She for Christmas she got us a voucher to press our album for when we get it finished. So we're going to be doing that. I'm pretty excited about that.
That's wonderful. Yeah, because we're talking about the sound, and I'm sure your husband maybe would agree with me on this because I'm kind of a studio geek. But you get great players and you record it well with decent mics and preamps, and then it's eventually they just munge it on down to an MP3. And it kills me because the quality, there's so much quality that is missing. I mean, even a CD over an MP3, but just want to say again, bravo. It's wonderful to hear really well-crafted songs with real musicians playing their instruments. Refreshing.
You honestly, you can't beat the warmth of a record. It's all in there, which is so odd that records are actually having a big comeback. Like just even going to the mall, I see that there's Nirvana on record. which I don't think it was even came out on record at the time, but now it is.
I might actually pay $1.50 just to hear you say record. It's kind of cool.
Oh, really?
Record.
Record.
Yeah. She has
Wait,
that.
how are you saying it? Record.
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 Yeah. It's a whole Australian thing. Ronnie, thank you so much for joining us tonight. You're extremely charming. Your music is absolutely fantastic. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you on the show. And I really tell everybody who's watching us, check out her record. It's absolutely great. It's so many sounds on it. It's so melodic and just it's just I haven't heard a record this good since Nick Lowe's 1991 Impossible Bird, and that's just
that's a big call. That's a big.
You guys did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I'm going to ask you one favor. I have no doubt that you're going to become extraordinarily famous because you're extraordinarily talented. When you're extraordinarily famous, come back on our show.
What about the Luddite part about me?
and make sure you act like you know these three schlubs, because we'll be honored to because your record you're extraordinarily talented, and the record's just fantastic. So thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.
Cheers, David, Scott, and Joe. Thank you so much for having me on.
And I will honestly send you a message about the possibility of using dark light in my new film, because I really would love to. It would be a great end credit scene, soundtrack for the film, because it's a dark kind of foreboding, moody werewolf film about a guy who loses everything. And there's something about a track when the credits start that kind of has that kind of haunting 50s sound, yet just I think it would be perfect. With that being said,
see it.
With that being said, thank you so much. Everybody check out Ernie and the Invisible Strings on, what was it called? Bandcamp?
Bandcamp.
On Bandcamp, and hopefully soon on CD Baby and iTunes and everywhere you could buy streaming music, because it's just that great of a record. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Cheers.
Enjoy being a mommy and be well.
Good
being a dad was my favorite job in life. So yeah. All right, that was a wonderful show. She was extremely charming, and her album is really fantastic. Good night. What did he say? Good night, Mr. Hutch. Let's see your concert. You go. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would like to quickly thank CJ for the very nice compliment on the music. I'm very happy that we're using a track from the Shoestring Serenade. I wasn't sure if it would work well, but it seems like it's working pretty well. So thanks for using the track. CJ, thank you for pointing out the track. And yeah, wow, what a show tonight, huh?
No, I mean, talking to the first three morons was like pulling teeth. But when Ronnie came on, it was quite fantastic. And I'm glad he was laughing. No, all kidding aside, we know we love those guys. And the show, and all kidding aside, even though that was like pulling teeth interviewing them, it was literally like I wanted to shoot myself in the face. Their show is fantastic. Their show is absolutely funny. I have no idea how they pulled it off, but it's very, very funny. Make sure everybody checks out on our own on Amazon TV. Great show, Tron coming sweet. JW?
Okay. JW of the Indie Escape Network, not on only the TV shows and stuff that you mentioned earlier. But anyway.
Yeah, you know, Troy and the boys managed to put together something, and this is another word you hear a lot that's not always pertinent, but irreverent, yet, you know, they're not afraid to not have to be politically correct, yet there's nothing so offensive that some things are just offensive for the sake of the shock. You know, and it's irreverent comedy, but there's nothing truly offensive. That's a fine line to walk that, and I think they pull it off with aplomb, actually.
No, absolutely. It's a great show. It really is. I was very, very pleased in watching it. Sometimes when you watch something from somebody that you really like and care about, and you want to succeed, you get an uneasy feeling, because what if you don't like it? And you have to be fair to your audience and the people watching you. So then you have to play a specific kind of dance around what you think of the show and how you conduct an interview. And luckily, I didn't have to do that at all because the show is fantastic and very, very funny. Scott, I just sent you the link to get that beautiful young lady's new album. I really want to hear what you think of those songs in particular because I know you're a student of music and they're just fantastic. Mr. Ridgely, is there anything you want to say in passing?
Absolutely.
In closing? Yeah.
Everybody that is joining in still, please make sure you go to David Lee Madison's The End of the Night Facebook page. Give it a like and follow. Also, the Indie Escape Facebook page, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Hey, I actually got them all right this time. Get over to our social medias, give them a like and follow. We'd greatly appreciate it. And also, again, make sure you go to Amazon Prime Video. Check out On Your Own 6 episodes.
Look at O'Halloran. That's funny.
He's trying to get his bar tab paid. The show was absolutely fantastic tonight. Thank you, Brian O'Halloran, Ernie O'Donnell, Troy Burbank, and Ronit for joining us tonight. It was absolutely fantastic. Next week, same bat time, same bat channel. It's my birthday show, star-studded event where people come on and say horrible things to me. I go upstairs and cry until the next day, and everything's fantastic. With that being said, thank you everybody for joining us tonight. We couldn't do the show if you didn't join us, watch it. We love you all dearly. And remember, no man is a failure who has friends. What the hell did you do? You made me look at Ernie O'Donnell too early.
It was a say the thing. I put the show card up, and then I put the end credits.
Okay. Remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Be well, everybody.